What's up everyone, my name's Justin, and in today's video I'm ranking every song from Alter Bridge's newest album, Pawns and Kings. This video is going to be about my least favorites to favorites, rather than ranking the songs from worst to best. With that in mind, let's kick things off with number 10. Taking the bottom spot on today's list is the third single and fourth track on the album, Sin After Sin. When this song came out, I was on the fence about it. After all, my first listen was at 6:30 in the morning and I was barely awake. However, since then, I found myself never wanting to revisit the song, and now when I listen to the full record, I tend to skip it. If that's not a telltale sign for my least favorite track, then I don't know what is. Quite frankly, Sin After Sin is just not my kind of song. I know some people think it's one of the best from the entire record, but I find it forgettable, dull, and a little bloated. The guitar solo at the end, if you can even call it that, is disappointing. The vocals are repetitive, and I can't connect with the lyrics. This one isn't much of a surprise to me considering I'm not a fan of most of Alter Bridge's slower, brooding songs like Indoctrination, Wayward One, and Brand New Start. When it comes down to it, we're all gonna have slightly different preferences, and that's okay. The purpose of this video isn't to try and rank the album tracks on their quality, but rather just to share my favorite and least favorite songs. And as it so happens, Sin After Sin claims the bittersweet award for being my least favorite track. Now, let's move on to number 9, which I can already tell is gonna be another unpopular opinion. Up next is Last Man Standing, the 9th song on the album and the 9th spot on this list. Now look, I enjoy Mixed Meter as much as the next person, but this song just doesn't do it for me. The 7/8 pre-chorus is jarring no matter how many times I hear it, and I'm not really thrilled with the riff that accompanies it either. After a while, most riffs in 7/8 start to sound the same, and unfortunately, this one is no different. To be fair, it's really tough to write a fresh part in 7/8 since the meter has such a distinct sound, so I don't really hold it against them, but the mix meter isn't the only reason for my disinterest in this song though. Miles sounds a little tentative in the chorus compared to other songs, so the vocals lack the grit and intensity I expect from a Pawns and Kings track. All of these elements ultimately lead to a feeling of dissatisfaction with the song. I don't think I'll listen to it often, but I also don't think I'll be skipping it as much as Sin After Sin, so 9th place feels like a perfect fit for Last Man Standing. Now claiming 8th is Mark Tremonti's big vocal feature, Stay. In the lead up to this record, Stay was pitched as this big ballad, and that had me very intrigued since Mark has delivered some great ballad performances for his solo projects. In reality though, this track is more like a mid-tempo rock song rather than this big power ballad, and unlike most Alter Bridge songs of a similar caliber, I find its melodies to be a little bland. The song's orchestrations are rich and full, but not a whole lot else about the song really jumps out at me. Additionally, this track feels way more appropriate for a Tremonti album rather than an Alter Bridge one. And not just because it's Mark singing. Everything about this track has Tremonti written all over it. And while that is moderately entertaining, it just feels out of place compared to the rest of the album. Stay's bright, uplifting chords are a nice change of pace from the heavy, aggressive tracks that come before it, but overall, there are many more songs deserving of a higher rank for me, which is why Stay earns the number 8 spot on this list. The latest single and opening track, This Is War, claims 7th place, and it's at this point that I feel the songs are either pretty damn good or better. Remember, this is Alter Bridge, so even their worst song is usually better than most. This Is War is the only single that I didn't hear before the listening party, and I gotta say, I'm glad I decided to wait on this one. The power of Scott's double kick, the sting of Miles's subtle, sassy twang, and the beautiful chaos of Mark's shredding, all of it was just enhanced by the fact that I'd never heard the track before, and I could ride that serotonin high straight into the next song. However, as I quickly learned, this song doesn't prepare you nearly enough for the barrage of music that follows, and that is its biggest downfall. It's a very good song, but it's followed by several great songs, and by process of elimination, it's been bumped all the way down to 7th place. Don't take that as an indication of this song's quality though, but rather of the remaining ones. This record is filled with game-changing music, and the tracks just keep getting better from here. So let's move on to number 6. Just missing out on the top 5 is the second track, Dead Among the Living. This track is what I consider to be the standard for a great Alter Bridge song. It's got a solid riff and this grand open chorus. Plus, Flip's drumming is top notch. Miles's vocals are as healthy and powerful as they've ever been, and the track cleverly blends uplifting and dark themes to create this action-packed experience. So now, the reason why it earns only 6th? Personal preference. While I enjoy the big open chorus, I prefer more upbeat and aggressive parts like from the bridge and the primary riff. There are multiple other songs on this record that more effectively satisfy my desire for a grand chorus, so I have to rank them higher than Dead Among the Living. Additionally, and this is super minor, I wish they repeated that final chorus one more time before moving into the outro of the song. Hitting those beats again would have made the song even more impactful, and then I'd maybe consider ranking it a little higher. It's a small gripe, but it does contribute to why I placed this song at 6th. Up next is the song that probably surprised me the most at the Pawns and Kings listening party, and that song is Holiday. Simply because this song is upbeat and based in triplets, it shares some similarities with a popular Green Day song of the same name. However, the similarities stop there, as I feel this song is more like a Slash track with Alter Bridge at the helm. Just like with Stay, this one is a departure from the tone set by the rest of the album, but I don't find it to be quite as drastic. I like the way the song works, especially since fast triplet tracks are always a chance for drummers to show off, and I can imagine that this one is going to be a lot of fun to try out on the kit. However, it's just not quite as creative as some of the other tracks on this record. I wouldn't go so far as to say it's a filler song, as I don't believe any of the songs from Pawns and Kings are filler, but it's certainly not one of the biggest and baddest tracks of the album. It's a good middle of the pack tune, but we've still got several more bangers yet to come. Speaking of which, let's move on to number 4. Released only 2 weeks after Pawns and Kings, the second single, Silver Tongue, takes 4th place. If you watched my videos over the summer, then you'll likely remember how I was critical of this song, primarily because of how quickly it was released after the title track. Thankfully, the expedited release schedule turned out to be a non-issue. But what about the other point I made about the song lacking a guitar solo? Well, originally, I was bummed that we didn't get a guitar solo because I was also dissatisfied with the solo from Pawns and Kings. But now that we've got a good selection of solos from other tracks to scratch that itch, Silver Tongue has really grown on me. I liked that guitar riff and bridge from the start, but I wasn't a huge fan of Miles's vocal melody. But god damn if it isn't an earworm. And naturally, hearing this song live has only made me appreciate it even more. It's developed into one of my current favorites, but there are still a couple left that can surpass it. Before we get into my top 3 songs from Pawns and Kings though, let me know your favorite tracks in the comments and hit the like button while you're at it. It helps this video out with YouTube's algorithm, and it's a free and easy way to support the channel. So thanks. This next one may come as a surprise, especially considering my love of Alter Bridge's epics. Taking 3rd place is the band's longest song to date, Fable of the Silent Sun. I've seen so many people comparing this song to Blackbird, but I don't think it falls into the same category as that song. Blackbird is essentially just a really long song with gradually developing verses and choruses and a guitar solo that builds to a big climax. Whereas Fable is more like a multi-part opus. There are distinct sections in the song that all work together, but they're much more individual than the parts on Blackbird. For that reason, the song doesn't take me on the same kind of journey, but it's still really freaking good. The guitar solo mixed with Scott's breakdown on the kit is fantastic, and Miles's vocals are impeccable. I do wish he'd shown off at the end and gone for a stupidly crazy high note like jumping up the octave, but maybe I'm just being a little bit too picky or ambitious. Either way, I love this song, but there are still 2 more that give me a ridiculous grin every time I listen to them. The runner-up for my favorite song from AB7 is the 8th track, Season of Promise. The release of this song could not have been timed better. The entire track is built around imagery of a harvest, which perfectly fits the current season in the United States. October is harvest season, and something about the song is just so warm and comforting while watching the leaves turn and begin to fall. Miles's triplet melody laid over top the full major chords in the chorus is like being wrapped in this thick blanket after coming in from a cold afternoon raking leaves. Also, this song is perfectly timed for me personally. The weekend of the album release, I got to participate in one of my favorite fall traditions, which I haven't been able to do for several years. This song basically underscored that whole process and made it such a special experience to be able to do that again. It's been out for less than a month, and I've already established a deep personal association with this track, and that is a really tough thing to beat. Of course, there's still one more track that tops Season of Promise, and it should be obvious by now which one is left. Taking the #1 spot and the award for my favorite track from Alter Bridge's 7th record, it's none other than the title track itself. Man, when this song first came out, I was absolutely floored. It instantly became one of my favorite Alter Bridge songs, period. And I've been listening to it obsessively ever since July. After experiencing all this fantastic album has to offer, this track captures everything in an all-encompassing, epic conclusion rivaled by very few songs. Each time I've listened to the album, I've always been thrilled for Pawns and Kings more so than basically any track. One part of me kinda wants to pick a newer song, but I mean, who are we kidding? The title track had me hooked from the start and hyped for this record to a degree that I've never felt before. This song has made me uncontrollably giddy, and I've continued to connect with it on a deep emotional level ever since it dropped. I can't ask for much more than that, which is why Pawns and Kings claims the title of my favorite song from Pawns and Kings. All right, let's be honest. Ranking every song sure is great, but how does Pawns and Kings hold up when compared to the rest of Alter Bridge's jam-packed discography? To find out, you should watch this video next where I reviewed the full album and gave it my final score. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you there.